Hello,
Welcome
or welcome back,
to the Womanly Podcast,
where we embrace womanhood in its entirety.
From the hard and awkward conversations
to the silly and embarrassing moments.
An effort to reclaim and redefine what it means to be womanly in this crazy, wacky world. I'm Delana, the neutral one.
I'm Katie, the morbid one.
And I'm Madeline, the other one. And we're so excited that you've joined us today because there's room for you at our table.
So, grab your favorite drink and let's have a conversation.
I'm just drinking Sprite tonight. It's not anything exciting. Got a little bit of an uneasy tummy. Y'all have the more exciting drinks, though. I'm kind of jealous.
Sprite is like the old reliable.
And,
Whenever you're not feeling good, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how that started, or even whenever you think about it logically, you're like, bubbly and high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, that's every soda.
Yes.
But I'm not rushing off to get a Coke every time my stomach feels off.
I know, which is...
Or Mountain Dew.
I know, which is why
Ew.
it's so
Could you
funny.
imagine?
Ginger ale, though.
Oh, I love ginger ale.
Yes.
so.
I'm drinking a margarita that Delana made me.
I am also drinking a margarita that Delana made me.
And it's super yummy.
It is good. We're trying a new margarita mix called... I can't remember. Never mind. Yep. So we have margarita mix, triple sec, and then good old... I like Painted Donkey tequila.
I haven't tried
Yeah.
that one.
Everybody likes the Casamigos, which is like, it's only a few dollars more than the Painted Donkey, but I tried Casamigos and I don't like it. It tastes like cheap tequila to me, to be honest.
Maybe that's why people like it.
Because it tastes like cheap
Tequila.
tequila.
Yeah.
Painted
Some people
Donkey,
like cheap beer too.
Painted Donkey is kind of like, it has a little bit of flavor, but the flavor is not like really bitter or doesn't have like that sharp.
It's got kind of like an agave-ish.
I don't know. Some of it tastes like alcohol, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And then
Mhm.
some of it doesn't like taste like
Yeah.
this is a really good shots tequila.
It is.
For example.
Good to know.
Yeah. Oh no, the best actually I can't remember the name. I have a picture of it on my phone, but it won like in 2020, I think it won the world's best tequila, and it was only like I think like $30 rather than like the $50, $60, $100 tequila bottle.
Yeah.
What was your last full meal, and have you been drinking enough water?
Oh, that's a great question. Katie, you want to go first?
My last full meal was a spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A.
We were talking
Mm.
about this, and I am so jealous. I'm living
And-
vicariously through you.
And no, I
No.
have not drank enough water.
Have you drank water since the last time we recorded?
This is full of water.
Well, okay, but that does not help because it's full of water.
I
It's
just
not-
filled it.
Okay, good.
Well, before I got here, I just...
proud of you, proud of you.
And it was filled with water before that?
No.
Katie! What was it filled with?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's just empty.
Okay, well, you're drinking it now.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, one
what
sip at a time.
counts as a full meal?
An entree with a side.
Oh,
Oh.
I didn't have fries.
Maybe an entree of sorts.
I guess yesterday I went, well, I don't know. I don't know if this counts. I had leftovers of it today, so I ate like half yesterday and half today. But we went to a local Mexican restaurant that we really like, and I had enchiladas. I can't remember what they call them. Maybe enchiladas Madero, maybe? But it's chicken enchiladas with a tomatillo sauce on top and rice and
Mouth is
beans.
watering.
And then they put like brisket on top of the chicken enchiladas, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's really yummy.
Dang, that sounds so good.
Yeah, it's really good. So I ate half of that yesterday and half of that today. So altogether, that's a full meal. And yes, I have been drinking enough water
Good.
because I was outside all day Friday and all day Saturday with my event. And
Yep.
Well, maybe, I don't know. For a normal day, I probably had enough water for the amount of walking and stuff I was doing. Maybe not, but I felt like I kept up pretty well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. What about you?
Last full meal, I have not technically had a full meal today, but it's hard for me to eat like a full meal.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier for me to eat like smaller meals throughout the day,
I like that.
which is harder because then you have to eat more frequently, and then if you like get busy in work and you're like locked in, then you don't want to get up and go eat, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Mhm.
like a bad cycle, but I can't eat a whole lot whenever I just sit down. So full meal, I had some soup. I didn't eat all of it, but I had some soup.
We
Yeah.
witnessed it. You did.
We did.
Yeah. It smelled good.
They were there and it was good. And then yes, I have been drinking enough water. I can't not drink water. And I think it's because of my acid reflux. I literally like feel like burning in my throat and the water helps to like, it's the only thing that will help it a little bit, you know. Okay, red flags, green flags.
Well, my first red flag is partners who make you feel guilty for feeling hurt over something they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Red flag.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. What else is there to say?
Red waving flag.
Yeah, you shouldn't make people feel guilty for feeling hurt.
Yeah.
There's like some kind of quote out there, and depends on how it's phrased, but it's something like, you don't have the right to tell somebody that they shouldn't be hurt by something
Yeah.
that they are hurt by.
Yeah.
That's not the way it's written, but basically that's the gist of it. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what,
Yeah.
that's right. You don't have the right to tell somebody that they shouldn't be hurt by something that they're already hurt by.
So I do have a question on that then, like, because I think all of us have actually dealt with maybe not a like romantic relationship, but a friendship in which the other person acts like they're hurt or they feel like they are hurt, but you're like you have no ground to stand on, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm curious like where the balance is between that, because technically the last friend breakup that I had, they were hurt because in their mind I didn't support them, but the thing that they wanted me to support was really gross and not right, you know?
Yeah.
And so like technically can I like, no, I can't tell them that they're not allowed to be hurt, but I can be like, dude, have some perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I think in a circumstance like that, they feel hurt by something that you did.
Like, I feel like they are hurt just because they're being immature.
Yeah, but I think the red flag is if you were making them feel guilty over feeling hurt, which I don't know if you really necessarily did that so much as you were just confused as to whether or not you actually did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's,
Okay,
I think
that
it's in the
makes sense.
aftermath of how you handle somebody telling you, I'm really hurt by this. And if it's like a legitimate thing where it's like somebody cheated on you and then you feel really hurt by that and you let them know, like, I'm really hurt by this, and then they're like, well, you shouldn't be like blah blah blah, trying to make you feel guilty for feeling hurt over something they did.
Okay, but what if you flip the scenario? Okay, so let's say that Sam cheated on me and then I was hurt by it. So I went to Sam and I told him, hey, I'm hurt by this. This is not right. And then Sam was like, well, I'm hurt because our relationship is over. It's stupid, I know. But Sam was like, I'm hurt because our relationship is over. And then I am like over here confused and I'm like, do you really have any stake in this? Because you've caused this situation. So now for you to turn around and try to tell me how hurt you are by the situation that you caused,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's the red flag. That's the red flag, is if he turns it back on you and tries to make you feel bad about the situation that he caused. If you had done something legitimate to hurt the other person, forget about this, this other hypothetical that we've concocted. If you had done something legitimate to hurt this other person, whether you fully, outside influences aside, whether you fully recognize or not that what you did was hurtful or could have been hurtful, and the person that was on the other end of it feels hurt and has expressed their hurt, the red flag would be you making it their issue and trying to offload the blame, offload the responsibility of correcting it.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like,
and I think that's a repetitive thing too. Like it's a red flag at like the first time. Yeah. But if that's not something that y'all can discuss, and I think a lot of these things we'll talk about with red flags really it all comes down to maturity, because honestly, you can't apply this to like high school relationships. Literally everybody's going to screw up at some point in high school. We're all full of red flags at that age. But it's the repetitive actions of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again that you're like, okay, it's a red flag in the very beginning. Don't let it happen too many times before you realize that this is not something you can tolerate.
Yeah.
Green flag. Being upfront about what they want and need.
Yes, I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
the most attractive thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love it.
Love it.
I love it.
Communication.
Communication is wonderful. I don't want
Somebody who
to.
knows what they want.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Not that not
please.
knowing what you want is a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us who are just freaking out here trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
know, we're not going to know what we want all the time. But
But
for
it's like-
somebody to be able to even say, like, I don't know what I want out of this situation, that's even incredibly attractive.
It's
Mhm.
about the emotional intelligence of recognizing where you're at,
Yeah.
what you want, and being able to articulate it and advocate for it.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
something incredibly, attractive about that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. For sure. I don't want to feel confused.
Mm-mm.
And even if the situation is confusing, like, just the effort of them, like, obviously trying to bring you into
Like demystify,
yeah, and try to, like, keep you on board or on the same page with them as they're navigating, let's say, even something that's really confusing and sticky, you know, but they're, like, trying to navigate it themselves, like something like maybe anxiety or depression, you know, where it's like, hey, I'm figuring this out as I go, and I know that this may even have effects on our relationship, and so I just want us to track together the whole time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is like, that's one of the most loving things you can do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this goes well beyond like romantic relationships. It's like anybody,
Oh, yeah.
anybody communicating anything. Yes,
Mhm.
please. Yes, please. We don't need
Yeah.
anything else in our lives.
Yeah. Do we want another red flag?
Yeah, let's do it.
Someone who has no desire for a long-term commitment. I think the problem comes in when they can't keep a long-term relationship or
Oh,
a
yeah.
job or a friendship.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah, a
makes
job,
sense.
friendship, all of that's a really good addition to that
Mhm.
narrative for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That's what I was going to say, is that I was like, okay, if they just don't want a long-term romantic relationship,
Mhm.
like, sometimes that can just be a stage in their life, you know. Sometimes people don't want to get married and it could be their preference, but my question would be, like, what is behind that?
Yeah,
Like-
there's some extra thing that they need to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes them, because I think it does show an incredible level of maturity to be able to be like, I am going to commit and be in something, anything, a relationship, like you said, a job, a project, a hobby, like whatever, for the long run. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see
Mhm.
this through. Is
A green flag?
words.
Words are hard.
Words are hard right
Words
now.
are hard.
I tried to, that's the third thing I've tried to say and could not think of the
You're
word
fine.
for.
You're fine.
But you get it.
You
It's
are.
Yeah, I get it.
admirable.
It's a
It
green
is.
flag.
It's a green flag.
Yeah.
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 So on that regard, somebody not being able to commit, if there's junk behind that non-committal behavior,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then yeah.
Well, and
huge
there's a
red flag.
fear. There's a fear, probably a fear of intimacy in there as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
that's a good point.
Which-
yeah.
Not that I'm not like the most intimate person on the planet in a lot of ways. Like I just don't crave intimacy in a lot of ways. Not
I
just
can understand.
yeah, not just like obviously the first like physical way,
Right.
but also just having intimacy and like being deeply known and whatever else with somebody. It's really nice when it happens, but it's not the number one. Like that to me is not what defines a relationship, the
Mhm.
value of a relationship. So it wouldn't be like an immediate red flag for me if somebody was not overly intimate, but if they're showing that they have issues with intimacy, that just in general issues with it, and they have a fear of it, that to me is a red flag, an issue.
Mhm.
Yeah. I am somebody who is like, I agree, but I also like understand the extreme fierce independence to
Yes,
the point
same.
of like I'm good on my own. I don't need intimacy. I don't need
Yeah.
intimate friendships. I don't need, and you go so far that direction that eventually you're like,
It's harder to come back.
Yeah, it is hard. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And you have to like
you've created your identity in that.
and it's almost like you've created like your own world,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then to have other people come in and now disrupt this world
Yeah.
is, I think, something that fiercely independent people have to be
Yeah.
careful of, is
Yeah.
like that they're not just isolating themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep myself in check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Green flag. Good hygiene.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's a
important.
big one.
Oh,
for
yeah.
me.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a one of those that you don't really have to, it goes without saying. Good hygiene.
Yeah.
Oh, I just can't imagine like if you got married to somebody and then you found out that they like,
Don't shower.
oh my God, one time my whenever I was working at a salon in Dallas, one of the owners was telling me her boyfriend, he was like, she took a bath and then she got out of the bath and she was about to drain the water and he was like, oh wait, no, I'll use it.
Ew. I mean, props to you for like trying to be green and all, but that's disgusting.
Oh.
Guys, I have
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I can already tell by the look on her
Oh,
face.
no.
I have
whatever.
What?
No.
Trichophobia or whatever.
No. Whatever. So me and my sisters used to do that. We would like take
Yeah, but whenever you're young, you don't think about anything.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
I mean, of the three of us, Katie's definitely the most crunchy.
that is
Like
true.
easily.
I mean, you did just tell
Yeah.
us a pretty.
That's true. Yeah, I would never like take a bath after Bryce. No offense, Bryce. I just
He
ew.
probably gets
I'm
it.
not
Does he
gonna-
ever even take baths?
I
No.
have
No,
to shower before I take a bath.
I have to shower after
if
I
I
take a bath.
Don't take if I don't shower before I take a bath, then I have to shower after I take a bath.
Yeah, I definitely am like shower after a bath because I'm not gonna just sit in a clean bathtub. Like I want it to have bubbles or whatever else in it.
Mhm.
If I'm gonna take a bath because I want it to just be really relaxing. I usually also do like if I'm ever doing a bath, it's gonna be like an Epsom salt bath or something.
Yeah.
But see, I was actually going to say the opposite, where like I usually like to take a shower before because I like to use the Epsom salts and I like them to like stay on my skin and like
Yeah, I don't.
do their thing. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm like no, I feel grimy after that. So I
That
have
makes
to-
sense.
And it's not
That
usually
does
like
make
I
sense.
wash my body afterward. It's usually just rinsing off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a big red flag for you
Go
guys.
for it.
Ooh.
Picking fun at your partner around their friends and family.
Mm.
You may shrug it off as no big deal, but slowly it's gonna beat you down and it's gonna change your perspective about yourself.
I have actually had to talk with Sam about this before.
I've had to talk with a partner about this before as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I not actually in front of friends and family. We're pretty cordial around friends and family. But Sam is an extremely dry, sarcastic person to the
Yeah.
point where
Yes, he is.
where when people come over and they hear us joking with each other, they're literally like, are they like fighting?
Mhm.
Or, like, are they?
Yeah, if you don't know him, you're like, what the
Yes.
hell is this guy?
Yeah, it's so funny. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there is a point where I've had to tell him, like, I think it was probably about 3 years in our marriage that I was like, I love our sense of humor, but for you to joke this way with me all of the time, there's a point where it starts to become actually wearing. Like every single day, multiple times a day, we're being super dry and sarcastic, and it's just, there's a point where it's not fun anymore. It doesn't feel good, you know, and so I'm definitely not saying that it was like just him. Like we would go back and forth, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's your relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but there was definitely a point where, and I would say he initiates more of like the super dry sarcasm,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but still, I think that, yeah, there was just a point where I was like, all right, I'm a little bit sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
know,
still
I'm not
human.
entirely devoid of feeling.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm still, an emotional human being.
Yeah.
See, I'm not. like that's a huge part of what we do, and it's always like really really dumb stuff. Like the other day, he came to help me with the event on Saturday, and he's a gem, and he got up at like 4:45 5 a.m. with me and went, and this was like he drove up for the weekend to be there, and then I had to work from 6 a.m. until I think we left around almost 9 p.m. and he was there the whole day, and so there were a couple moments where we just like we were just kind of bantering back and forth. It's not bickering, like it's not legitimate bickering, and anybody who overhears it would recognize, like they're laughing when they hear it. But there was like one point where I was talking about how I smell like a foot, and this is gonna sound so stupid. He was like, "No, you smell like a donkey." And I was like, "That's not very nice. You just told me I smell like an ass." And like kind of like going back and forth and stuff like that. And it's never mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's anything that can be construed as mean. We just one of our ways of flirting or whatever is just that we have digs at each other. We like to. And that's just how we are. And but his family is very much like that too. His whole and my family is very much like that. Like nothing. There's certain things that are off the table. Don't touch that. Yeah. And I think it's important to be able to recognize like there are boundaries within that. If that's how you communicate and that's how you have fun with one another. But like there's obviously really sensitive spots that you don't want to attack, or you're not really attack, but you don't want to tease about, because it's at that point you're being mean with it. So for me that's not necessarily a red flag, unless obviously that person's like intentionally hitting the vulnerable spots over and over again.
That's what I'm talking about, is hitting spots where they know you're weak.
I've seen couples do that with each other, and you can like tell that the other partner is bothered. And I'm just like,
it's really sad.
Do you have no respect for your partner?
Well, okay, see, my parents will do this occasionally. My parents have been together for almost 40 years. They've been married for almost 40 years, but they've been together since my mom was like 16. Wow. So they've been together for a very, 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 very long time, and they like essentially grew up together. So they have moments where they do that, and they'll kind of try to pick fights, or they'll bicker, or there's just like subtle digs that you pick up on. And I think it's just for them, I don't know, I think it's just you have been together for so long that I'm not sure what changes. I think it's not a respect thing. It's just like, I don't know. It might be a boundary thing. It might be a conversation thing, but I don't know. It's weird.
I think also whenever you're like, I'm 8 years into it almost, not even quite, but it'll be 8 years in May. But I'm 8 years into it, and there are things that like at the beginning of our relationship I would have been really sensitive and offended by if we ever talked to each other that way. That now we talk to each other, we're like, it's no big deal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like we become such close friends, much more family, and much more family oriented, and like our relationship between each other. Yeah. And so I can actually understand now that you say that, like, okay, 40 years, like 32 years from now.
Yeah. Like the you're not so worried about losing that person,
or whether that person loves you.
Regardless, right? So for them, and obviously there are times that they've had a really long day and it just hits them differently, or it will be something that's like sensitive to them, but one of them will talk about like, oh well, that really hurt my feelings, or not really saying that, but basically talking about how that bothered them, and then they'll turn around 2 days later and do the same thing, and it's like, but because they're both in a space to carry that, it's not that big of an issue. So but again, I think if it's something that is consistently hurting you, that this person is doing, then you address it with them, and then they continue to do it and not try to change, and they're like purposefully trying to hit you in that weak spot, that's definitely a huge red flag.
Like even whenever I talked with Sam about like, hey, I have some feelings, you know, like we need to not be dry with each other all the time, that was something that it was like he would slip into being dry a lot, but you could tell that he was like also trying to be respectful and mindful of that. And I think that's all that really mattered. Are they trying, or are they completely disregarding?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I have a couple questions I want to ask. What were the specific red flags in relationships of yours that did not last?
Clingy. Yeah, those are my big ones, but I'm also fiercely independent.
Yeah.
So my measure for clingy is probably
Really small.
really small.
I can feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Just clingy? I mean, that flew off like really fast, so obviously that's a big one.
Those were like, I would say, the primary reasons that I broke up with most of my boyfriends. The other one would be lack of ambition. Like, I'm just not. It's different if they don't know what they want and they're trying to figure it out versus them just like being like,
Yeah. Oh, whatever.
I'll wake up and go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
is that what you want? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I can't. I could not. Sam and I have actually talked about this. We're like, I could not be married to somebody who wasn't like, because him and I are very entrepreneurial.
Oh, yeah.
And so like we think that way, and we're like, I could not be married to somebody who was not that way because we would just be on a different page all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that ambition is at least really important to me.
Yeah.
And especially if we're talking entrepreneurial pursuits, then that's like a certain kind of ambition.
Well, it's just
not above or
passion
beneath.
in general.
It's just like over here, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being passionate in general
Yes,
about
exactly.
life and how you fit into it and your purpose and stuff.
Yes, that's good. That's a
What
good way
about
to
you?
say it.
I think my top one would be just stunted growth. Like we just realized we weren't growing.
Sorry, you said stunted growth and I just immediately thought of like a physical nature.
Oh my god.
Never got past a certain height.
Yeah.
Yeah, stunted growth emotionally.
Yeah.
I would say was one of the big ones, but we weren't growing together or apart. We were just
independently,
kinda
Just
Yeah.
there.
and we were just so young, so
Yeah.
we didn't. Neither of us knew what we wanted, and
Yeah.
and I think we both wanted different things.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think it was just one of those things where it was painful to
stay.
It was painful to stay and it was painful to go.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I think going is a better thing for both of us.
Yeah.
Just to break this off and know that we did our best.
Yeah.
You know, we want the best for each other. So
Mine have been unfaithfulness.
Yep.
That's an obvious one, or it should be obvious.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it should be. Another is just somebody who, like, it's hard for them to give you the time of day. Like, they have to basically schedule their time with you. And then, I mean, we talked about it with green flags, but people who aren't upfront about what they want and need. They play games. They leave you questioning and all of that. Those have been, for me, the bigger red flags. But I dated very casually. I never really, prior to court, I never really got into like a legitimate relationship. So because of that, the people that I tended to spend time around, there were a lot of red flags. And I know I had my red flags at that point too, but that was just, that's kind of what I ended up in time and time again. But those were the big ones. Like, had I ever decided at a certain point that I wanted to go more, like be more committed with this person, those are the things that would have and did completely prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
So y'all are both married. What were the green flags early on for y'all that like helped kind of point you in the direction, ended up marrying them and everything?
So for me, the way that Sam and I ended up getting together was that I was actually in this point. I was reading this book called Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life.
I love it.
And
What a great
it was
title.
really good.
Yeah.
It was actually really good. And like at the end of the book, he like has you take this quiz about like how successful you are in life, but it has nothing to do with money and everything to do with like how fulfilled are you in your life.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. I thought it was really good. There's a lot of self-help books that are needed to be really, really gentle.
Yes.
And then there are some self-help books that you need a shut up, stop whining, and get a life. To
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was in that he actually prompted you to write a letter to somebody, and I actually ended up writing a letter to somebody else. It wasn't Sam. But then it started to make me think, and I don't remember what the prompt was. It just started to make me think, where I was like, I started evaluating my entire friend group, where I was like, I don't feel like myself with these people that I spend most of my time with. And so then I just like asked myself, I was like, well, who did you feel completely and like you could just be your complete and raw self with? And I was like, immediately Sam came to mind. And I was like, okay. So then I wrote him a letter.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
And that's how we ended up getting
That's
together.
precious.
Yeah.
So
And
green flag, feeling
green
like yourself
flag
around somebody.
was just like, you can just peacefully be yourself around somebody, and you feel like you don't have to like act like somebody else to
Yeah.
Yeah.
be friends with them or be close with them or
Yeah.
have fun with them or anything in between.
Yeah. For me, it was similar to yours. We were just really good friends before, and I just felt really cherished by him. And he listened and just saw me.
Cherished. I love that word.
And
Yeah, it's a
That's such
sweet
a good word.
Yeah.
I really did, and that was the green flag. It was like I just felt safe.
Yeah.
And I felt just completely myself with him, and yeah. So I think that was the biggest one, was that he just made me feel cherished, and it was just a really, really peaceful feeling. And that was something that I had known before, but it had slipped away. And I cherished that feeling back.
Yeah.
And
You cherished being cherished.
I did. I will admit that. And so I decided to really do everything I could to make it work with him, because I knew it was something special.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Everybody should feel cherished by their significant
Oh,
other.
yeah.
They should. Yeah.
Well, we have moments where we're like, you feel cherished and stuff, but us for the most part, it's just like, I don't know.
It's different.
It's different. Like I
Like
wouldn't
it's
use
not
cherished.
like romantic.
It's not like I don't feel treasured,
Mushy.
treasured or we have our moments where I feel like we both do a really good job. It's more like appreciation, I think, is the better word for what we do. But
I think Sam and I are more like that too.
yeah, appreciation, right?
Yeah.
But for you, like that's 100,000% the kind of person you are, that you want to feel cherished, because that's how you saw your parents interact with one another too, and how your parents treated you guys.
Yeah.
That's important to you.
Yeah, it is.
Is it the same for you? Like appreciation was what you saw in your parents?
I think so. I think a lot of it for them was unsaid, and it was more like acts of service toward one another versus really doing the romantic mushy and I don't even know that we're fully interpreting your version of cherished right, but I'm assuming
y'all are. Yeah.
I figured we kind of were, but for them it was more like the acts of service. Like I appreciate having you in my life, and we've been together forever, we're good friends, and I'm going to do this because I care about you, not so much like let's go on date nights and
Mm-hmm.
let's give like really nice presents on whatever. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't really how
Yeah.
my parents interacted growing up. So
Yeah.
I feel like I need like 75% appreciation, 25% cherish.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Where like
yeah.
I want some moments where I feel like
yeah.
mushy gushy
Yeah.
and it's sweet and it's romantic and it's like that, but not a lot of it. If it's a lot of it, then that's where I'm like, okay, this is kind of clingy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why how my other relationships ended.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're all so different.
I
You
know.
Yeah.
I think you and Madeline are a lot alike.
Yeah.
And I know like some of you out there can relate to, you know, my green flag.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of you can relate to Madeline Delena's green flag. And
I
No,
would
that's what's-
bet more people can relate to yours.
Yeah.
That's my bet.
Yes. I don't want to stereotype, but from a female perspective, yes.
What's your green flag?
Obviously it's funny because it plays off of my red flags, but I just never questioned from the very beginning how he felt about me and what his intentions were.
That's
never,
good.
Never once.
Aw.
From the moment that we started talking, and we'd known each other, we'd met in September and then started like actively getting to know each other in March. And very, very soon after kind of talking, getting to know each other, we'd went on several dates. And then by April, we were official, quote unquote official. So no, I didn't, I mean, it happened really fast, and I've never once in our entire relationship questioned how he feels about me.
Yeah.
And that is for a lot of reasons really, really important to me, just because I have had, relationships, not just romantic, but just like family relationships and stuff where I've felt unwanted a lot of my life.
Yeah.
For various reasons, mainly just because the people who were on the other end of it were hurting and they weren't able to give into a relationship with me in a way that would have been what you traditionally expect. So to and I don't know, we could go really deep into that, into why I was like casually dating men who did the exact same thing, but yeah, he's never once in our entire relationship, and we've been long distance a lot of it too, like I've never ever questioned
That's
how
amazing.
he feels about me. So that's the
Just
biggest
how it should be.
biggest green
Yeah.
flag. Yes.
As
Yes.
it should
So-
be.
Yep.
So, red flag. Controlling.
Oh yeah.
They have to know where you
Gross.
are, when you're coming back, who you're with at
I have
all
a
times.
Story.
Yeah.
I was dating a guy, and he was like, I don't even know what happened. It was like we were only together for like 3 months. It was short lived, and this is why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a reason.
At some point, I don't even really remember how it got to this point, but it was almost like this switch flipped in him. And I remember I was getting off of work, and I had made plans with my friends to go hang out. I don't know what we're doing. We're going to go out to eat, go to the mall, something basic, hanging out with your friends stuff. And he started throwing a fit. Like, he was like, you are always hanging out with your friends and not with me. And I hung out with him all the time. All the freaking time. At least in my fiercely independent mind, I hung out with him all the freaking time. Okay. And I was like, you're always hanging out with your friends, and then he's like, we had that whole argument, and I was like, this is ridiculous. We get off the phone, and then I'm driving back home, and then he calls me, and I was like, oh my God. I answer the phone, and he's like, hey, I need a ride home from work. And I'm like, I really don't
That's
wanna-
why.
I really don't want to give you a ride home right now, but okay,
Where
I'll
are
give
you? Where
I'll
are
give
you? Where
you
are
a
you?
ride.
I need a ride.
Okay. So then I'm like, all right, well, I got to run back home first. I don't remember why. I wanted to change or something, but I was like, all right, I got to run back home first, and then I'll come get you. on my way to go pick him up, my car breaks down, and he's calling me and like calling me and calling me and calling me. And I finally answer, and I'm like, hey, my car broke down. Well, thank God, one of the people that were one of the guys that was also living with my pastor. I was living with my pastors at the time, and this guy was also living with my pastors at the time, and he actually ended up coming to that stoplight that I was broken down at, and he saw me, and he of course he pulls over, and he's like, hey, you know what's going on? And I was like, my car broke down. And so my car's broken down. He's actually pretty well versed with cars, so he's trying to ask me questions like, hey, what happened, blah blah blah. I'm on the phone with this guy, and he's like, where are you? He's like throwing this whole fit. I don't even remember what he said. He was trying to give me a bunch of bull crap, and then I was trying to answer my friend's questions about my car and like try to figure out my entire car situation. And then at one point he just goes, Delana, stop talking to Ryan and talk to me. And I was like, my car broke down, and I'm like, freaking. At that point, I should have just hung up the phone, but I was young.
Yeah.
And I stayed on the
the
phone,
story
and you could tell
goes.
that Ryan, the whole time, he was just kind of like, should I say something?
Yeah.
Should I do something?
Dump
And it was a
the-
really awkward
dump that
ride because
dude.
I was like sitting there on the phone in Ryan's car, and I was like, yeah, okay. I was like trying to like get him to calm down. And then he runs from where he was working all the way to my pastor's house, and he like makes this dramatic entrance, and he's like, Delana, I ran all the way over here. And it's like all this stuff, and I'm like standing in front of him, and I literally remember I had like my arms crossed and everything, and I was sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna break up with him right now. I was literally, the next sentence I was about to say, I was going to break up with him. And then my pastor comes into the room, and he's like, hey, I think this is over. He's like, you need to leave.
Yeah.
And he was like, she's going to go hang out with her friends. You need to leave. We're done with this tonight. And so then I broke up with him later. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that was, I don't know. Controlling.
Yeah.
That was like
overly emotional.
the whole situation.
That's a huge red
But
flag
I
for
want
me.
to give him credit because now he is actually really close friends with my brother, which was really weird for me for a long time because I was like, that boy is psycho. But my mom had actually talked to him during a birthday get together for my brother, and she was like, you know, Delana dated a guy that was his same name. And he was like, yeah, that was me. And she was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, I didn't do a lot of things right in that relationship.
Oh, well,
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He ever said that
that's
until
nice.
recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
I mean,
You know,
that goes back to like, again, talking about teenage years and relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how we all have our red flags at that point.
He was in his early 20s, so we can
Well,
only give him so much slack.
The
but
point
still, you're young.
The point I want
Yeah.
to make is that it's all about owning up to the mistakes that you make and growing from them.
Yes.
Because yes, there are red flags and all of that, but it's not like a death sentence to the person themselves as being a bad person. It's just like, maybe if this is a red flag to you, maybe this should not be something that you get yourself tied up in long term.
Past
Yeah.
performance is not an indication of the future performance.
Yep.
At least it doesn't have to be.
Includes you around family and friends.
Green flag?
Green flag.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not just something that,
Yeah.
like, they're not just seeing you. And I've had this in relationships where, or not relationships, but people I've dated where it's just like they want to see you after hours. That sounds really bad, but like they don't want to like invite you out with friends. They don't really tell anybody about you. You know, they don't want to
Want
invite
you a
you
part
to
of their
family.
life.
Yeah, right.
You're their
But they
best
still want to
kept
be
se-
around you.
Their best kept
That's
secret.
weird.
Yeah, basically.
Ugh.
I've had that before, and at the time I didn't really mind it because I wasn't really inviting them around my friends or my family.
So it was
But
like a mutual
it was
behind
a mutual
the scenes
behind
thing.
yeah, so and that was all fine and good, but if you're looking for something like serious and you're looking for somebody who's going to be serious about you, that is a red flag that they are not serious about you, that they're not like they should be, if they're serious about you, they should be like desperate to have you around their friends and have you around their family and inviting you anytime your family's in town or whatever, wanting to have you there. Or like if their friends, I mean, I had this recently. Cord and we went to like, and obviously we've been together forever, but just as an example, we went to a brewery a couple of weeks back, and that was something we planned to do together. But then he got a text message from a couple of his guy friends from work about doing like going to a local bar to watch a tech basketball game. And it like he wanted to go, and he was like, I want you to go with me, let's go, if this is something you want to do. And so like going and introducing me to a couple of his guy friends that like knew my name and knew about who I was and all this stuff, and excited. I had met one of them before, but briefly, but it's just like it's like we're a package deal, right? But I mean, obviously we have our own independent lives, but it's like it's not like he's desperate to have his guy time or whatever. Like and the chance that he gets to have me there, he wants me there. And vice versa. So I think that's such a nice thing to have in a relationship.
That's how Sam was whenever we first got, not like he isn't like that anymore, but I've met all of his friends at this point. But yeah, whenever we first got together, he was so like that. Like he wanted me to go to everything. And he wanted me to meet all of his friends. Like he was so like, I want this person to meet you, you know, like I want you to come. He was like really wanted me to not just meet them, but like become friends with all of his friends and everything. It was like,
oh, I want you to be a part of my life, and this is my life. Let me introduce you to my life. And let me introduce my life to you because I want you to be a part of it also.
Wants me to have my own individual relationships with all of his family and stuff like that. And so, it's really cool.
Sweet.
I love that. It's one of a really big green flag for me.
Red flag. Patterns of conflict that reveal they're addicted to like chaos and like drama.
Ooh.
It's a big one.
That's I have to take a second to dissect that fully.
I know friends like that.
Yeah, I can think of, because it's pretty hard for me to hear that and not be like, okay, I know that I grew up with a really complicated childhood, and for me to enter into a peaceful relationship was not a easy transition, because you start to feel like, because there's no friction here, something's wrong, and you don't consciously realize that, you know. And so thus you have a tendency to, whether you create actual like not physical but like verbal conflict between you two, or you're just like coming up with these own conflicts and scenarios in your mind, and you're creating chaos within your own heart and mind. Was not, so it's hard for me to hear that and not be like, okay, that is something that I've had to be conscious of because of where I came from. But whenever I think of, like, you're talking about past friends and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I think I know the example you're talking of in this scenario, where it's like, I can think of specific people where it's just like, they literally just burn bridges everywhere they go.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love the conflict and the drama. And
they love to feel like their life is harder than everybody else's.
Yeah. They love to.
And they're always the one that say, I hate drama.
Oh, yeah. What the heck is up with that, by the way? How blind do you have to be?
I never have to say that because I'm very hardly in drama.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like, if you only ever say it when you're in drama. If you're saying it all the time, you are addicted to drama, or you're just constantly putting yourself in it, or you're surrounded by people who love it. So.
It's like, if you have to say that you're a good person, you're probably not a very good person.
No. Same thing about being I mean, that goes for anything. If you have to say that you're a confident person, you're probably not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or you have to, if you not so much say it, because we've said things here, right? Like, it's more like you have to make sure that everybody knows that that's something that, you know, you want to be identified with. That's the issue.
Yes, that's a good way to put it, because I think it was just this past episode that we posted, not recorded, but this past episode that we posted of the homeschooling episode. I said, and then I was like, we're smart guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's there's a difference between saying something like that and then like an attitude of like, everybody has to know this one thing about me, that I'm smart and I am confident and whatever. I'm a good person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate drama.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you say all that
Oh
and I'm
my
going to be
gosh.
like, ew.
Red flag.
Red flags all around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to give one last green flag. Whenever people say nice things about them, or they have like really good opinions of the person without being prompted, like
Oh, like somebody, like if a family member said a nice
family
thing about
member,
Sam.
like advisor or
Yeah.
friend or acquaintance or whatever. Just anybody who just has like nothing but nice things to say and it's not prompted. It's like genuine that they have such high regard for this person. Huge green flags.
Yeah.
Huge.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever, well, no, I guess some of the people that I met while being with Sam, I can remember. Yeah.
It's more of a nuanced thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's something that it's not something that you get early. Well, I don't know, maybe depending on the situation you're in. With me and Cord, we were a part of a student organization together. So we were obviously involved in things, and there were conversations that were had that I obviously heard. Like, a lot of people just had such high regard for him. But I think the further we've gotten into our relationship, the more I hear people say nice things about him, and it's a point of pride for me to know that I'm with somebody who and it's not so much that I'm proud because if he's getting those compliments then I must be, it's more like I'm proud that he chooses to spend his time with me knowing that he's somebody that people have high regard for. Like to me that's just like such a nice association to have, and just to be proud of the person that he is
Right.
is such a nice thing.
That there's a lot of people that would want to see him and associate themselves with him, and he chooses to spend his time with you.
That is sweet. Well, I have one last red flag for us, and that is when, ladies and gentlemen, they never take ownership of their wrongdoings.
Yeah. Yep.
Huge red flag.
That's something that I've had I personally had to work on, where I get really defensive whenever I am. It's like so funny because it's like this weird dichotomy, because I will 100% blame myself for things that have nothing to do with me. And I'll be like really hard on myself, make myself feel bad about things when it's totally the other person's doing. But then whenever something actually is my fault, that's such a vulnerable place to be in.
Yeah.
That it's easy to like snap back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's something we all have had to work on at one point or another, and maybe a continuous thing, but I think it comes it's a red flag when it is a continuous thing where it's like they can't take ownership of their wrongdoings,
like any of them,
and they're not even remorseful about it.
So far gone,
far gone. They can't even see what the problem is. They don't say sorry. Done. Like mic drop.
I lied. I actually have one more green flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Green flag when they listen to the Womanly podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, on that note, I wanted to say, I was already thinking about saying this. This is a perfect segue. Is that I was like, on the topic of relationships, can we talk about how all three of our significant others have been like so gung-ho for this podcast?
Gassing us up. Yes.
They have been gassing us up so much.
Yes.
Like Bryce helped with editing the first couple episodes.
And he's
Cord created our little website that we have right now, and we didn't even ask him to do
just
it.
like, and he has more ideas for what he wants to do for the larger website.
And he
too.
was like, "Let me help you guys distribute the podcast and all this stuff." And then literally, I think every other day, Sam tells me, he's like, "I'm so excited for you." He's like, "I love what you guys are doing." He's like, "I can just tell that you're having so much fun." You know? And he's like, "I love seeing you enjoying this."
Green flag.
Green flags all the way around.
Yes.
Like,
Bryce was telling me last night, and he was like, "I can't wait to listen to the episode." He was like, "Let's go." No, we have
makes me,
really
like,
supportive
yeah.
partners.
That is
Yeah.
like so incredibly healing for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because of like I didn't grow up with that kind
Yeah.
of support.
Yeah.
Specifically from male figures in my life, brothers
Mhm.
and father, you know,
Yeah.
father, so formal. That's like having stuff like that has been so cool.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
been fun because it happened so fast for us. It was like something that each of us
Overnight.
like really had thought about and all of that, but for it to be something that we really jumped on and to
for-
have like the immediate,
Yeah.
the immediate support and
And intense support.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's
Yeah.
like they're like hands on involved. I love
like
it.
I think
Me
if we
too.
quit it, they would probably be more disappointed than we would.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
I think so too.
Don't worry, we're not gonna quit.
No,
Yeah.
we're
But
not.
yeah, no.
I
Green
love it
flags
so
all
much.
around.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're
Yeah.
here listening, green flag to you, brownie points to you. Thanks so
Yes.
much for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Yeah. What are y'all looking forward to this week?
Oh, I'm looking forward to binging the new season of Bridgerton tomorrow. I've set aside a day,
Yeah.
and tomorrow's the day.
I
I'm gonna binge it.
Is it out? Is it?
Mhm.
Oh, it's out
It's
already?
been out
Okay.
since Friday.
I thought so.
Okay.
I thought obviously the last handful of days of my life I've been turned off to the rest of the world aside from this event that I produced. But I saw that people were talking about it, but I hadn't really gone much further into it because I didn't want any spoilers or
Mhm.
anything like that.
Yeah,
So,
no.
but I'm so far behind. I haven't watched any of the new Outlander season, and now this has come out. I know, so I've got some catching up to do. I'm looking forward to taking some days off this week. We've got a family wedding, and so I get to see Court's parents and his siblings and some family from Washington State that we don't get to see very often. So I'm super, super excited about that, and just having some days off to rest, I think will be really needed. Maybe I'll fit in some catch up on those shows.
Yeah.
We'll see. But really, I'm just looking forward to having some time off and
Yeah.
really just letting my brain relax a bit on some stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Delina?
I'm looking forward to my birthday.
Oh yeah!
Oh,
I
yeah.
see. My
Day
brain's
after
still not even
tomorrow.
working. Is that we're going to dinner for Delina's birthday? That's definitely something
Yep.
I'm looking forward to as well.
That's
I am
definitely-
going to a surprise dinner with my family tomorrow night. It was girls at first, and then my mom wants to take me to a bar, or no, not a bar. It's like a dessert place afterwards that she wants all the guys, if the guys want to come too. So yeah,
Fun.
she's but the dinner that she's taking us to, she's like, well, it's kind of a girly place. She's like, so I think it should
So
just
it's
be
a
girls.
surprise because you don't know where.
I
you're
don't know
going.
where.
Yeah,
I don't know. She actually told me what the dessert place was, but I forgot. So that's gonna be a surprise too. But yeah, I don't know where we're going to dinner. That she wanted to
Fun.
keep a secret. And then on my actual birthday, all of us are going to dinner to a place called Nerdvana, and it's like a video game restaurant.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
It's so fun, and they have. I'm excited because I'm gonna get that brick chicken again. That's Brick's
Oh,
chicken.
I think I'm probably gonna get that
Yeah.
too.
Oh, it's like
So
what
good.
mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts and like the most perfectly cooked chicken that you've ever had in your life.
Oh, I'm getting their hummus too. Their hummus,
their hummus was
so
good. Their hummus was
Oh,
good.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe my stomach will be more agreeable on Wednesday and I can have a drink too.
Yeah. And then starting on my birthday is my 10-day staycation.
You're so well deserved. So well deserved.
So well
I am
deserved.
very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I have a lot to
Well,
look
good
forward to
things.
this
Yeah,
week.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
Excited.
so like I'm gonna leave here so excited about life in general.
Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Bye.
Aw.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us again for this week's episode of the Womanly Podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media to hang out with us in between episodes and see pieces of our conversations that we don't get to include in these episodes, plus all of our bloopery humanness. We're on Instagram at Womanly Pod and TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter at Womanly Podcast. We hope to hang out with you more there. Have a super womanly week.